welcome back to the show. Our guest host today, David Manchie, Director at Belvedere Share Managers. And joining us fresh from the Pay Dirt South Australian Energy and Resources Conference is Nick Sheard, Executive Chairman of Base Metals Miner, Base Metals Explorer, Carpentaria Exploration. Mr. Sheard, look, thanks very much for your time today. Look, can't go past without starting with obviously the big news today, the death of Osama bin Laden. Interesting to see some of the reaction in terms of commodity prices, most specifically around oil and precious metals, lower at the moment. These sorts of events, would you expect them to have a short-term or a longer-term impact on prices?
I believe they'll have a short-term impact on particularly base metal prices. I can't comment on oil, but I would expect them to be fairly positive in base metals.
Well, let's just take a look at base metals, and obviously a very, very great amount of interest in them at the moment. I mean, at the moment we have seen copper a little bit subdued, I suppose. Are you bullish on the outlook? I have heard some people suggest in the short term we could be entering bubble phase.
I think with the particularly the copper, and that's going to continue going forward for a while. We might have a bit of a slowdown, but I can't see how the China consumption, which is basically where most of it's going, obviously out of India, I can't see that slowing down unless there's some major event in China. So I really see this as quite a long-term effect, this current boom, and obviously there's going to be oscillations along the way.
I suppose when looking at the outlook for prices, as you say, a lot of it very much hinges on China and, as well as you say, India. But with China, does that mean you have to be a very big believer in the accuracy and the transparency of their growth forecasts and so forth, and their level of economic activity? I'm a bit unsure to answer that one because, but however, recently I've been in China, in fact just 3 weeks ago, and the level of activity and the amount of building and the amount of industry that's going ahead, it cannot be stopped overnight. So I think there is just going to be a huge wave that's going to continue for some years. They just cannot stop it. Looking at the company itself then, obviously interest at least in a few different minerals. Where do you apportion the most amount of focus? I mean, where are you bullish in terms of the longer term with your own company and the direction you want to take it?
Well, obviously our current interest is in the iron project. Horson, our flagship project, where we've just before Christmas announced a very large resource of 1.4 billion tonnes, is where our primary focus is. And our aim is to try and get that project up and running as fast as we can, because there are quite a number of other iron projects around the world, and there appears to be some sort of view by some analysts that around about 2014, 2015, the price of iron is going to flatten off and go down. So it's actually important for us to get this project off the ground and mining as fast as we can. For us, it's such a long-term project. It's going to be there for 50 years even. So it's we've got to get it off the ground and running, and then it would look after itself. But we've also got interest in other commodities such as nickel. We've got a very large nickel application in New South Wales, where we feel that there's a very good chance of a nickel discovery. There's already nickel there, and I think nickel is going to be one of those metals that perhaps it's not going to have those huge runs like copper, but it's still sticking up there, and I feel it's going to stay up there for a while, and particularly when steel's around, they're going to need nickel.
Nick, it's David Manchie here. Just, hi, good morning, good afternoon. I did know coming into the latest New South Wales election that, well, now our new Premier was, he did flag that he was going to be much tougher and delay effectively he was saying delay the approval process for some of the mining operations in New South Wales. And I've got to say, I took it as a negative, and it seemed to be a deal done with the Nationals. But do you think it'll have any effect on your projects?
We sincerely hope not. I believe that what he's put in place, or what they're putting in place, basically is to stop the speculative companies that come in and just do some pegging, and they either got no intent of doing any work or immediately going to do a joint venture, and they haven't got any backing behind them to do the exploration work. So in some ways a bit of a positive in that regard. It's going to stop that speculation pegging. But
it's had an effect on us already in so much it's slowed down the process. That when you put an application in, we put one in before Christmas and we still haven't got anywhere with it. So it's going to have it could have a negative effect as well.
In terms of, I suppose, that desire to act as quickly as you can, I suppose, particularly in regards to the Horse and Iron project, where do you stand with the PFS and so forth, and the milestone payments for joint ventures to get it up and going?
Well, the PFS is agonisingly close. It's just about finished. We've got news from our the company that's doing the PFS for us that they will be delivering it at the end of this week. Now that means that the Carpentaria will first look at it, and then we will review it with our joint venture partners to look for any major flaws, and so we could see ourselves putting it out in 2 or 3 weeks to the public. So we're there. What we intend to do, or what we really would like to do, is that our partners to come in and really start pumping money in to get this BFS up and running. Obviously, I can't guarantee that, and so as such, we will find other ways to maintain this to continue the BFS, because it's important that the project keeps running ahead full steam. So it really depends on what our partners want to do and how we're going to go forward. But they have till May next year to stump up, and if they haven't done it by then, the project becomes available for sale to us and we can buy it back. So there's another avenue open for us, but that would stall the project by a year, and we don't want to do that.
Obviously, I mean, I assume you'd hope to get some sort of announcement from them before May next year. Best case scenario, when would you hope to have things up and running?
If we could move into our BFS fairly seamlessly from now, we have a team ready to go, and we could start really hoeing into the BFS. We could almost be up and running by end of 2014. We've actually discussed with the railways, we've discussed with the power, and we've discussed with the port authorities, and we could actually get about 5 million tonnes going to South Australian ports and exporting by then. And that would give us the cash flow that would allow us to do the next phase, which is building a major infrastructure corridor. We'd like to make that a common usage corridor, but really it has to have enough capacity that we could put 20 million tonnes per annum, which is what our aim is in probably 6 to 8 years from now. And that would make us a huge producer, and it would be a very viable mine at that rate.
All right, Nick, look, appreciate your time today. Thanks very much. Nick Shedd there from Carpentaria Exploration.